Hello and welcome to your championship review from Game Week 2. Now before we kick off today's video, don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. And do not forget to turn on that notification bell so you'll be notified every time I make a new video. Enjoy the video. Like Game Week 1, Game Week 2 certainly did not disappoint. And so I'm really excited to review every single game that happened in the championship this week. And we start things off at Saturday lunchtime where it was Derby versus Coventry, and Coventry ended up winning 5-3. Now this game was just pure chaos. I didn't get to watch the whole of this game. I got to watch a bit of the game because I was on the way to the Bristol City match. So I didn't get to see, literally everything. Didn't get to see the whole game, but the bits I did see was just, it just felt really chaotic, really. Derby were obviously winning at points. And then, obviously then for Coventry to score 3 quick second half goals to turn the game around was just, really fascinating. Shows it shows a strong mentality from going behind to, claw it back. And not only claw it back to a draw, but then to, go on and get the winner and then go and score an extra goal at the end. It just, it's absolutely, really is fascinating. So, fair enough to Coventry. I think both sides will be, a bit concerned defensively, the fact that they conceded, so many goals. But I think obviously Derby will be the ones that are most concerned, considering they conceded 5 at home. And, at least Coventry were able to score a few goals to make up for the amount they conceded. So, it's not a scoreline you see every day, but certainly looked like a fascinating game. Derby, I don't think they've been at their best so far. That's quite apparent from the stats. They've conceded 8 goals and scored 4 goals, and they've lost both of their games so far. So I think things need to turn around Derby sooner rather than later. They obviously got another home match against Bristol City on Friday night, so they'll be looking to put things right in that game. But overall, solid win for Coventry, and I'm sure they're very happy with that. Next up, we go to Fratton Park for Portsmouth versus Norwich. So this game ended up finishing 2-1 Norwich, and I have to be honest with you, I did not envisage Norwich winning this at all. So I think for them to win this one at a ground where not many teams are going to go and pick up all 3 points, I think was a really positive result. In addition to that, it was 2 good set piece goals. For them, which they scored, which were obviously converted by Sargent and Darling. So, I think Norwich definitely had some really encouraging signs going forward in this game. They managed to get a lot of shots off, and, not just shots, but also get quite a few of them on target as well, which I think is a real positive. In terms of Portsmouth, it's going to hurt losing at home because obviously that's where they are normally very reliable. They missed a penalty in the game, so that could have made a bit of a difference come the end of it in terms of a result. But at the end of the day, I think Norwich seemingly deserved the win. So I think the result was probably fair. I think also concerningly for Portsmouth, losing Lang with a supposed hamstring injury isn't very good, especially with the injury he suffered with last season. So I think that could be, if that turns out to be quite a serious one, that's not going to be very good for them. So I think this was just Norwich executing it very well. Things are looking hopeful for them. And then, for Portsmouth, they've just got to go back and, see if they can get the home form they had last season, which I'm confident they will manage to do. And the final match of the Saturday 12:30 kickoffs was Wrexham versus West Brom, where it finished 3-2 West Brom. I think this was a game of some exciting moments. Because I think really throughout both of Wrexham's games so far this season, obviously they've had goals in them, but they've not quite managed to get any points over the line yet, which I'm sure will be a real pain to them because I said they have had these moments, but it's just not quite managed to get to points just yet. But I think, encouragingly for Wrexham, I do think the points are going to come. As I said, they've been knocking on the door now for a couple of games. So, yeah, and the next game against Sheffield Wednesday could be a good opportunity to get some points. And then in terms of West Brom, I think this is a really, really encouraging win. I think Isaac Price specifically impressed me because he netted 2 goals, which I think was really, really cool. And yeah, I think Ryan Mason and his West Brom side, I think they've started the season off very well. Obviously, in the cup in midweek, it didn't go to plan for them, but getting knocked out of the cup isn't going to be the end of the world for West Brom. I think for them just to focus on the league, because I think they've got good potential to get into the top 6. Even with such a competitive league. So I think for West Brom, they just need to try and keep this going. And yeah, also worryingly for Wrexham, Windass went off with a supposed hamstring injury, so they'll be hoping he'll be all fine. But yeah, so well done West Brom. I think that was a really, really top win. And to the first of the Saturday 3 o'clock games, a very heartbreaking one for Blackburn, I am sure. Blackburn 1, Birmingham 2. Wow, I said this is absolute chaos. It's not often you obviously go into added time winning and then you end up losing the match. But if any team can be on the losing side of that, of being 1-0 down and then going on to score a couple of goals to win it, it probably is Birmingham, the type of team that can do that. And you know what, I said these 2 goals could end up being absolutely crucial within their season. If the league's as tightly contested as we think it's going to be. So I think for them to, bounce back in front of the 7,000 Birmingham fans that made the trip to Blackburn, it could just be really, really, important. I think Todd Cantwell's goal as well for Blackburn, I think he took that very well. Very nice volley. And, I said I've not really mentioned him too much so far this season, but I think it's really positive to see Todd Cantwell back in the Championship, enjoying his football. After things like after leaving Norwich, it didn't go. It's kind of not been what it first looked like it could be for him when he was at Norwich. So yeah, I think for him to be playing back at Blackburn and playing well is a really, really positive sign. And yeah, Blackburn will feel hard done by in a game there, but yeah, Birmingham are going to be up there at the end of the season, so it was just an unfortunate game for Blackburn. But yeah, there's going to be chances for them to bounce back. And also, Alabasu for Blackburn had a collision and he was stretchered off. So best wishes to him as well. Hopefully that's nothing too serious. Next up, we go to what was probably the most boring game of the week, which is the one I went to, especially with the amount of goals we've seen scored in the Championship this weekend. The fact that there's a 0-0 draw within it all feels very, very strange. But yeah, it was a weird kind of game, to be honest with you. I was expecting, I predicted a City narrow victory. I thought we might just have enough to get it over the line. I didn't think it was at all going to be like Sheffield United last weekend. And obviously I was right in the fact that we didn't absolutely hammer Charlton. And I have to admit, I think a draw is a very, very fair result. I think City were better in the first half, and I think Charlton were better in the second half. And you know what? I was really impressed with Charlton. For instance, I think they were very, very well organised, and I think they are going to go and make it very, very difficult for many teams this season. Tyrese Campbell was impressive as well for Charlton, as was Rob Apter as well, who I had my doubts in going into the season, but so far he's really impressed me. And yeah, I think it was just a game where neither side managed to string anything together enough to score. City had a golden chance with Anis Mehmeti in the penalty area, which hit the crossbar. If that goes in, City might go and nick a 1-0 win. But then equally at the same time, Charlton had a chance where George Tanner almost scored an own goal, which was very well saved by Radek Vitek. So overall, I think a draw is a very, very fair result there. Next up we go to Millwall versus Middlesbrough, where Middlesbrough, funnily enough, ended up winning 3-0. I give a lot of credit to Rob Edwards and Middlesbrough this week, because and I'm sure many other Championship content creators, did not have them down for a 3-0 victory, especially after their EFL Cup game in the week where they lost to Doncaster in just really, really poor circumstances with, a pretty strong team out as well. So for them to bounce back in this game and go somewhere like the Den as well, where not many teams go away and pick up a result, especially this kind of new Millwall under Alex Neil. So I said, I was blown away by the fact that Middlesbrough were able to so comfortably go to Millwall and get a very, very nice victory. And yeah, I think it's a bad one to take for Millwall. They weren't at their best at all. And to concede 3 goals at home is never that good. Plus, Doherty went off with a hamstring injury, which isn't very good, especially after he was one of their star signings this summer. Hackney was also very impressive for Middlesbrough, because obviously right now he's still a Middlesbrough player. So it'll be interesting to see whether he gets a move before the end of the transfer window. But for now, he's still a Middlesbrough player and he performed very, very well in that game. So yeah, overall, well done to Middlesbrough, who are sat now, I think, in the top 3 of the Championship at this moment I'm recording. So yeah, overall, very good job for Middlesbrough. And yeah, back to the drawing board for Millwall. So we go to Preston versus Leicester, where Preston came out 2-1 winners. I think overall here, Preston were very, very good value for all 3 points. Both their goals were very, very well worked. And yeah, so I think overall, really for Preston, it was very, very positive. Divine's goal particularly really stood out because it was quite a tough angle. And I'm interested really if Alfie Devine will be able to kick on for them this season, because he's obviously shown glimpses in the past. I think last time he was in the Championship with Plymouth, I don't think he was quite physical enough yet. So I'm interested to see, because obviously we've only seen him for 1 game, but if he can kick on, I think Preston have got a really, really good player on their hands there. And talking of good players on their hands there, I do really rate this Jeremy Monga at Leicester, who's obviously now the youngest ever Championship scorer since the Championship rebanned in about 2004, I do believe, because he's obviously only 16 years and 37 days old. So yeah, fair enough to him. He took his goal very well. And yeah, I think overall Preston did very well and deserve all 3 of their points. And I'm interested to see if Preston can carry on playing like this for a bit longer, really. I have to admit though, for Leicester, it's a very, very negative game. They've not really started the season that convincingly. I don't think they were convincing against Sheffield Wednesday last week, and I'm not being convinced by them here. So for them, they need to turn things around sooner rather than later, you would imagine. So yeah, well done to Preston. Very good win. Next up, we go to Sheffield Wednesday versus Stoke, where it finished 3-0 Stoke. And yeah, really, really big credit to Stoke so far this season. They've started the season exactly how they needed to. 2 wins, a lot of goals scored. And, obviously not many conceded. I've only conceded 1 throughout both games. So I think Stoke have definitely started this season in the right way. So is this going to be the season where Stoke managed to go climb up the table a little bit? Or is it still going to, go backwards for them? But there's no signs of that so far. I think, Sorba Thomas and Bali Mwamba, both of them in both games have looked really, really good additions. Especially Mwamba, who I didn't know what to expect from him, as he's not really played senior football before. So for them to have played well in these 2 games is encouraging. And yeah, Stoke just look like they got a lot of goals in them, which I really, really rate. And yeah, obviously from a Sheffield Wednesday point of view, the fans held their protest pre-match, and then they were blowing whistles at the start of the match as well, all in their protest. So I hope, their whole situation, I know I mention it every video, but it's very important too. I just hope this whole situation gets resolved, because it's never nice to see a club go through this. And obviously, I think it was quite telling on the pitch for them today, the fact that they just couldn't match, what Stoke were able to, play like, really. And yeah, so it's disappointing for them, but I do feel for them. But yeah, it's a good win for Stoke and not as good of a win, and a poor loss for Sheffield Wednesday. Next up we go to Swansea versus Sheffield United, where Swansea came out 1-0 winners thanks to Ronald being the difference maker with his goal. And you know what? Swansea could have probably had more goals than they did in the end. I think, from a Sheffield United point of view, they sat back, because I think against Bristol City, when I saw it live last week, they were very much attacking and whatever, going for it. Whilst in this game, I think they were a bit more concerned, so they sat back a little bit. And yes, that meant they didn't really offer much going forward. And then Swansea managed to catch them out and score a good goal. So I think it's been a very, very, very poor start to the season for Sheffield United, with 2 defeats already before this game, let alone adding to it with another defeat for them. And you do start think needs these things need to turn around for Sellers, because obviously he's already unpopular with the sacking of Chris Wilder at the end of last season. So yeah, he needs a big result sooner rather than later. But yeah, it's not been encouraging at all for Sheffield United so far. And you just look at their squad and just see how much quality it has in it. And the fact that these players aren't, being able to get anything out of these games is just very, very worrying. No shots on target is just, I don't think it's going to be long for Sellers unless they manage to string something together. But for now, very, very poor. And finally, in terms of the Saturday games, we finish with Watford 2, QPR 1. And I think the star, kind of goal scorer and star player from this game was Luka Kjærgaard from Watford, who, has got a solid 2 goals. And I'm interested to see how he does this season. So I think for him to start off his Vicarage Road campaign scoring 2 goals is very, very important. Obviously, Poku was injured after last weekend's game, so he was obviously missing into this game. I don't quite know how long he's out for, but obviously QPR fans will be hoping that he'll be back very, very soon, because I think he'll be a key player in this team. And yeah, I think one thing I learnt from QPR as well in this game, Kone came on towards the end of the game, and he did show some flashes of quality. And I really do think Kone could be a game changer for QPR throughout the season. So yeah, once they can get him up and going as they want him, then I think he could be really cool. But I do really rate Kone, so I think he'll turn out to be a very, very good signing for QPR this season. So yeah, overall for Watford, very solid win there. I think they'll very much take that. I think I predicted them to. I don't know whether I predicted them to win in this one. I did have my doubts over Watford, so I think for them to just turn around in this game and go and get a nice home win, I think it's very important. So yeah, well done to Watford, and yeah, QPR will learn a few lessons, I'm sure, from this game. So the Sunday games was Ipswich versus Southampton, where the game ended 1-1. Now I really enjoyed watching this game earlier today. I think it was a really interesting 1-1 draw. I think though Southampton will be kicking themselves after their own goal, which came over from Taylor Harwood-Bellis, and they're definitely going to be kicking themselves after that, because it was a poor own goal to concede. But then Jay Robinson, who's a youngster at Southampton, managed to get the equaliser to draw things level, which obviously ended up being quite important, and that was his first senior goal. So I think really it was an interesting 1-1 draw. I think there was moments where either team could have won it. There was some contentious moments at points, but I think all in all, a draw is probably a good result for Southampton, because I don't think many teams are going to go and get much from Ipswich throughout the season. And equally for Ipswich playing a good side that are going to be in a promotion battle, I think for them to have got a draw isn't a bad result. But equally they'll be wanting to do even better as well. So yeah, I think it's still early times. I think every team's sussing each other out so far this season. So yeah. So overall, interesting 1-1 draw. And the final game of the weekend was Hull versus Oxford, where Hull came out 3-2 winners thanks to an Ollie McBurney added time after 90 minutes winner. So I think for Hull, this is a really positive result. I don't think Hull have started the season off too badly at all, really. And considering I was a bit concerned about their manager at the start of the season, I think to start the season going to Coventry and getting a draw, and then winning your first home game of the season, I think that ticks 2 big boxes there. And as I said, I was really impressed by Ollie McBurney as well, not only getting the winner, but also getting two assists for the other 2 goals. And I said, I think Ollie McBurney this season, he could be a really interesting player for Hull. So overall, really positive for him. Joe Geldhart as well looked really positive. And Hull so far this season have quietly gone about their business in the first 2 games, and I think they're doing well. And then for Oxford, it's going to really hurt losing this game, considering considering they came from behind 2 times to draw level. So to then just lose it all at the end in 93 minutes, it feels it's going to really hurt for them. But there's still lots of games left in the season, so there's still plenty of time for Oxford to turn this around. But obviously losing your first 2 games of the season, by pretty tight scorelines as well, isn't ideal. So so I think overall final thoughts are Hull positive result, and then Oxford just need to bring it back a bit, and then try and start picking up some points sooner rather than later. So we'll see what goes on in the next coming games. And so after all this week's games, this is how the table is looking. So Sheffield United, Sheffield Wednesday and Derby form the bottom 3, obviously not winning either of the games, losing both. Then Blackburn, Oxford and Wrexham have lost both their games as well. And with the other teams picking up at least a point. And obviously Ipswich are down in that bottom half of the table as well. It's a bit of a surprise there, obviously along with Sheffield United, but obviously it's still game week 2, so a lot can change. And then leading the pack right now are Stoke, along with Middlesbrough and West Brom, who both got 6 points. And then the teams that won one game and drew 1 game, so like Bristol City, Coventry, Birmingham, Preston, Southampton, Hull and Charlton. So all very exciting at this point, seeing a few teams dotted all around the league table. So I think I'm interested to see how the table carries on shaping up over the coming weeks. And so after game week 2 this week, I've scored 8 points this week, so it's not a very good week considering I scored 15 last week. So very poor by the high standards I set myself, but leaves us a total of 23 for the season so far. Anyway, that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your reaction if you went to any of the games this weekend. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one.